Let's go. Wow. ULM drops not one, but two, two touchdowns from point blank range. But why do we even care about these games? Why do we care so much? So, of course, this is going to be a fun live stream. Of course, we're going to talk about the next head coach because, as you saw tonight, LSU desperately needs a new coach. There's no other way around it. That was just really pathetic all the way around. And it goes back to what we talked about in the halftime live stream. LSU just doesn't dominate people. They just don't. I don't know exactly what it is. We've just always been mentally soft. We don't have a killer instinct. Some of it is coaching styles. This is typical Ed Orgeron. I mean, you could go back to 2018 when we're going up against the worst team of all time, the Arkansas Razorbacks under Chad Morris. They were the worst SEC team ever. And in that 2018 game, we only won 24-17 because we just build a huge lead. And this game went exactly like that game where you don't kill your opponents. And, it's just one of the many flaws Ed Orgeron has, right? And this is basically it right here. It's not that you only beat ULM by 13 points. It's the way that this game actually happened, which was just typical ho-hum LSU football. So it's pretty crazy. It honestly is. And it's just how it is, right? And that's a funny thing, Big Al, is like Joe Burrow was a quarterback of that LSU team against Arkansas back in 2018. A lot of this is just Ed Orgeron, right? I don't know how anyone expected LSU to cover a 29-point spread when, and we include this in the game preview, when you didn't know if LSU was even going to score 29 points in and of itself. ULM Monroe defense is so bad. They are really, really, really bad. A lot of bad teams like Arkansas State just put up 27 points on them. And obviously, with points, things can get weird. Our first super chat comes in from Trey. That was weak. Does it piss you off that other teams have mad success with freshman, sophomore quarterbacks, but we can't seem to? Great question. Let's go, I guess. So Trey brings up a very interesting point, and Robert texted me this actually right before this live stream began. And the answer is I don't know. So for those that don't know, Trey's been with me on the channel for quite some time. And I hope you're right about this, Master Blaster. So Trey's been with the channel for quite some time now, and he saw our deep dive this offseason. LSU has never had a successful starting quarterback with less than 3 years of experience. So in other words, we've never had a freshman sensation or a really good sophomore quarterback like Bryce Young of Alabama or Tua or anyone like that, right? And it's complicated because I think, Trey, the answer is very simple. There's not many great freshmen and sophomore quarterbacks, right? And Max Johnson, let's be fair about this, right? And here's Robert right here. He and I were talking about this but before, and he asked me the same question as far as, freshmen and sophomore quarterbacks. Why hasn't LSU ever had a good one? And some of it is there haven't been many opportunities for freshmen and sophomore quarterbacks to be full-time starters outside of these last couple of years. And that was only because of Miles Brennan's injury. And And the freshman and sophomore quarterbacks that have started for LSU, outside of maybe Brandon Harris, none of them were really blue chip, can't miss recruits. So I think that's part of it as well. And the same is true for Max Johnson. Yes, Max Johnson was a 4-star quarterback, but if you actually go look at his high school statistics, his junior season, he only completed 39% of his passes. 39. So, there were some red flags going into it that his accuracy can get off. But Max Johnson did miss Malik Neighbors on a deep kill shot, deep in his own territory. And it wasn't an easy throw. They brought an all-out blitz, but it's just one of the many semi-difficult throws that Max Johnson just never makes, especially versus zero, where they zero blitzed him on the Jack Besh miss versus Alabama. So it's just the way it is. And Zay is the president of the Max Johnson hater fan club. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, to answer Robert and Trey super chat, it's complicated because there's not many there's not many CJ Strouds, and his situation is near perfect. There's not many Bryce Youngs. Once again, his situation is perfect. Best coach of all time. Great set of wide receivers. Great offensive line. Great running game. But yeah, Bryce Young's really good, right? But there's a lot of high-level sophomore quarterbacks that do suck as well. DJ Uiagalelei has been worse than Max in a lot of ways this year. Let's see. Thanks, Carter. It's just frustrating to see other freshman sophomore QBs with so much poise. Yeah, it's true, right? But what's interesting, if you actually go look at Max Johnson's stats, and as you guys know, stats don't tell the full story. His stats look pretty good, but I will say a lot of his throws tonight were really well-designed screen calls. His throw to Malik Neighbors was really good, but Malik did most of the work there. So Max was a little erratic tonight, but 22 of 33. This is what you expect versus ULM, 319, 2 TDs. So yeah. And this is also part of it as well. The wide receiver rotation just is not that great. I understand trying to get Chris Hilton going, seeing what you got with them. I don't want to see him play another game. I don't know what his redshirt situation is. I want him to get fully healthy and ready to go, because if he's fully healthy, he's a very good football player. But right now, that's not really the case right now. So I would make sure he can keep his red shirt. I watch this game falling asleep in some parts. I know a lot of people have already gone to bed, which sucks. I'm really pissed that this was not an 11 a.m. kickoff. And that's the thing, you say I want Devonta Lee playing more, and a lot of people have their personal favorites. Devonta Lee did get open a lot versus Arkansas, and Max just could not deliver the football to him. That's the thing, it's tough for me. The only 3 wide receivers right now that I see as no questions asked difference makers is Malik, BTJ, and Jack. And they're all true freshmen. I think every other wide receiver just looks good, right? But this is the thing. If you're a wide receiver at LSU, you should be exceptional, right? This is LSU's best position of the past decade. Especially on the offensive side of the ball. You have to be exceptional, and only the exceptional players should be playing. And the 3 players that are playing exceptionally well right now are these 3 guys that are atop this leaderboard right here. As many of you know, there's not a bigger Jeray Jenkins fan than me. He's a really good player. I would say he's the number 4 guy right now. But yeah, we'll see. The pace of this team ULM in this game, which was much lower than SEC play, so Max should have been much better tonight, and he still was not. Yeah, Max did leave some yards on the field. The numbers are good, but yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what his QBR turns out to be. Don't know anything about John Emery. Yeah, this is interesting. I know a lot of you have some Darren Evans questions. Who won and what was the score? There you go. That shows you the state of LSU football. ULM pulled the upset. Cardell Thomas missed a lot of blocking assignments, too. That was rough. As I always say, I don't judge the offensive line too harshly until I get a game rewatch. But there were some misses from Cardell. This was his first start. It is a step forward, though, that he is at the very least on the field. Okay? Butte, Dion Mish, BTJ, Neighbors, and Besha tied in Liam Palmer. That's true. It's a good little group right there. Let's see. Getting a lot of comments now. We're at 64. That's good. We had over 90 in the halftime, 80 or 90. That was really good. Carter, what is up with Evans? Good to see you, Scarlett. Yeah, we're getting a lot of Darren Evans questions. He's a good story. I cheer for everyone that's a transfer or a 3-star. But yeah, I mean, this is what happens when Elias Ricks and Derek Stingley and everyone else isn't playing. Cordell Flott had another good game. I know it was kind of quiet. JJ, you are happy that you did not get this, that you did not have to watch tonight. It really was that bad. We need a full picture of possible coaches. Carter, going to do a Napier deep dive? I will, Danielle, but here's the thing about the deep dives. Some of you really like them. And by a deep dive, normally a deep dive, the video, if you really go deep on a subject or a person, I do feel it needs to be a 15-minute video or more. So I did a Jimbo deep dive. I spent 3 days on it, and nobody watched. So Danielle and Simplify and a lot of our Lafayette viewers, if you want me to do a Billy Napier deep dive, I'll be happy to do it this week. But I need your promise that you're not only going to watch it, but you're going to share it with every single human being on the planet. Butte's injury was a broken ankle, I believe, on the turf of Kentucky. And that turf can be very brutal. So once again, Trey, with our first super chat here. I'm feeling it, baby. I'm feeling like we're going to have a really fun live stream right now. I understand it feels like it sucks because this was the worst game of all time. I really do believe it. Like, I'm not going to lie. I know this is going to sound dumb, right? But I don't feel that much different now than I did after the Troy game. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Yeah, I'll happily do a Billy deep dive. The funny thing about Billy is that I personally don't know a whole lot about him compared to a lot of the other candidates. But yeah, he did have one of the more impressive victories on the day of the top candidates for the LSU team or job. Yeah, Simplify actually paid for it with a super chat. He wanted me to do Billy Napier deep dive. And I was going to do one anyway, but Simplify is the one who subsidized it. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. I'm starting to get a ton of comments. I wish you guys could sit here and see them fly in. Let's see. Big Al, I appreciate that. I always hit that like button, man. And the beard is epic. I know it's going to be a lot of research, man. I can't wait. You know, the one thing I really like about Billy Napier is he is a process-oriented coach. He's very Arandian. He's always learning new things and, re-upping his fourth down philosophy. And I really do think that's a big thing for head coaches now. And ironically, Dave Aranda's been the best fourth down coach in the country. The analytics community is going crazy over how sharp Dave Aranda's been with this fourth down decision-making. A lot of you watched that Arkansas game today, and I felt Arkansas made some bad fourth down decisions. LSU made a bad fourth down decision last week. People are just too conservative on fourth down. I felt ULM made a few tonight that were not so great. So, yeah. Sweet super chat question tonight. Let me see. Let me know what it is, Simplify. Let's see. I had so many comments just fly in during the chat. Let me see. Um, let's see. All right. Okay, here we go. Who is the best man for the LSU job, and why is it Billy Napier? Okay, so we're already talking about it. Look, I'll go through it again. So Billy Napier, always learning new things. Football diehard. Everyone I spoke to so far about Billy Napier is this guy is a tireless worker who is really focused on being an all-time great football coach. And Billy Napier also understands the importance of where you are is very important. Trey, thank you. Trey says, listening to interviews with Napier, it sounds like he is a Saban clone with the process. I like it. I'm here for it, baby. So, look, a lot of coaches use that phrase, right? The process. Well, the process, it's funny because there are two coaches for LSU. The last two coaches for LSU weren't quite process-oriented coaches, right? They're end result coaches. If we win the game, that's all that matters, right? And for the most part, everyone agrees that, of course, we don't care, what type of coach you are. We just want you to win, and that's a good thing in theory. But in the long term, it is important how you win. Are you doing the small things to are you doing the small things to keep the team relevant? Are you doing the small things to keep up with the times? And Ed Orgeron just simply wasn't able to do that. So yeah, let's see. Maybe we're holding things back both offensively and defensively, so Texas A&M can't truly prepare. Napier is definitely a Saban guy. So I'll finish a few Billy Napier thoughts, and then I'll get to that first part. Because that first part is very interesting because I don't think LSU got as exotic as they have been in recent weeks. So look, I'll say this about Billy Napier. His offense this year hasn't been as good as a lot of people expected it to be as far as their vertical passing game. You will have to say, though, that, the way that they run the football, they have the young man, the freshman from New Orleans, who was really good for them this year. Number 4, I can't think of the other backs, Chris Smith. They're just really solid there. So as far as running the football, getting wins and getting better, Billy's done a really good job. And today was one of their better performances this year. So, yeah. Maybe we're holding things back both offensively and defensively so Texas A&M can't truly prepare. So I understand a lot of people just want this season to end, okay? Tell me this, okay? Let me let me ask. Let me put it this way. There you go. So this is what I want the poll question to be. Okay, notice the question isn't, do you want LSU to win next weekend? The question is, do you want to play a bowl game? Or would you rather this thing just end? Huh? Let's just say LSU can win versus Texas A&M and not have to play a bowl game. So that's my question. Do you want to play a bowl game? Right? So look, let's do a quick look ahead for Texas A&M. There's a lot of things I like about this. So for those that watched the Jimbo Fisher deep dive, a lot of people didn't watch it all the way through because I kept getting the same comment over and over. Well, why do you keep bringing his name up? Because you really can't ever count anyone out of a Scott Woodward coaching search. And just because a coach says he doesn't want the job doesn't mean that that coach will not take the job. It's a little bit different when Mike Tomlin says, I don't want a college job when he's in the NFL. When compared to a Jimbo Fisher who has jumped from college jobs to college jobs before. So this is a big thing, okay? Texas A&M is awful on the road. So Ulysses knows this. He watched the Jimbo deep dive. I know a few of you did. And it is unreal how bad Jimbo Fisher's offenses perform on the road. Texas A&M's offense in the 2019 LSU game was the worst offense I think I've ever watched. Now, nobody was beating LSU on senior day when Joe Burrow walks out there with the RREAUX jersey, okay? But no one was beating LSU that day, but no one expected Texas A&M to average 2.8 yards per play. And on top of that, you look at the yards per play numbers. Texas A&M last year was 3.8 yards per play, which is really bad versus the worst defense of all time. They were the only non-Vanderbilt team to not get at least 7 yards per play last year. The year before, they had 2.8. In the 8 overtime game, they only had 4.9 yards per play. And the year before that, they weren't too great either. So, number one, Jimbo has never coached well versus LSU. And Texas A&M has never really played all that well versus LSU. Even last year, if it wasn't for the LSU offensive line playing the worst game I think I've ever seen an offensive line play, that game would have been more interesting. And Kayshawn was robbed of a touchdown. That game had a lot of BS involved with it. Now, Jimbo's just never coached well versus LSU, and he doesn't coach well on the road. So I think LSU's got a decent shot. I really do. And if you're Texas A&M or if you're a Texas A&M fan and you just happen to watch this, this is a big issue with Jimbo Fisher, and I'm not so sure if it's going to change. So, yeah. Those Zimas got you burping, bro. You know what's funny? I don't drink during post-game live chats, but I needed one tonight. I think every other post-game live chat, you'll see me sipping on my national championship beer right here. Look at this, Coos. Do we sell out? Look at that. I got this for like $3 off Amazon. It's a thing of beauty for like years ago. Ryan, please. Ryan, you have the inside info on Nuss, man. Was he really sick tonight? The Zimas. You got to be above 30 to know about them Zimas, baby. Really, you got to be above like 35 to know about those Zimas. And I'm not above 35. I vaguely remember Zima. What does Zima even taste like? Mm. 5 stars. Depends on who coaches. Don't think I want O to coach any more games after next week. It's already been confirmed, though, that he will coach the bowl game. Maybe so, Ryan. Maybe so. ULM. Drodro, oh, by the way, Drodro's the one that wanted me to do the Jimbo deep dive. I've actually gotten a few requests to do the Jimbo Fisher deep dive. Let's see. We're hanging out. Let's see. We got a few people coming in from Twitter. What's up, Craig? What's up, Mist? Let's see. Besh and BTJ are studs. Yeah, I think one of Jack Besh's family members retweeted me. He had a first down conversion to start the half that was truly ridiculous. The thing I like about Jack Besh, number one, he gets off the line quick. Number two, he's just really good at getting open. And number three, he finishes his runs. He doesn't waste a lot of movement getting downfield, and he just knows how to cut. It's hard to really say. I know I compare him a lot to Jarvis Landry, but they are very similar football players. That actually near exact copies of each other in a lot of ways. Tony fell asleep, y'all. The Master Blaster fell asleep. Oh, we're so close to 100 people. I didn't think we'd have many people in here. I really didn't. It's 11:42. That was the worst game of all time. Uh, if you want me to talk Thaddeus Moss Ryan, you have to super chat. That is such a random topic. So the rule is, if you ask an LSU question that is a little off base, if you super chat, I'll answer it right there in the spot. But if you hang around, I'll answer it a little bit later. We'll stay more on current topics. Let's see. Alcoholic Sprite. Huh? So yeah, Jack Besh is having one of the best true freshman seasons I think we've ever seen. It's true. I mean, you think of like the best true freshman receiving seasons. Jamar had a really strong finish. Terrence Tolliver was a part of the 07 team. I would guess you would, just off the top of my head, I guess you would have to say Odell is probably number one on the 11 team. But it's really hard to say if there's been a true freshman wide receiver better than Jack Besh, other than, of course, Kayshawn. I think you'd have to say Kayshawn last year, but still. Let's see. Tony said I couldn't even watch tonight's game. Tony, you're one of the lucky ones. Carter, all I'm saying is Lane Train had a worse game against Liberty at Ole Miss than Billy Napier did tonight on Hugh Freeze's home turf. Napier is better than Kiff. So, Semper Fi, I know you're a big Billy Napier fan, but that is also transitive property where, look, if you go by that logic, that means that you still think right now that Oregon is a better team than Ohio State because they beat them, right? When that's after today, not based in reality, right? So if you do the transitive property stuff, the same thing would go to ULM, right? Because ULM also beat Liberty, right? So how good is Liberty, right? So, Lane Train had a worse game against Liberty at Ole Miss than Billy Napier did tonight on Hugh Freeze's home turf. And you are right about that, right? And Napier did coach an amazing game. But the counter to that is Ole Miss has been really injured, and they're right now just trying to preserve bodies. And look, I'll even to take your point one step further, Semper. Let's take this comment one step further, okay? I do think you have to look at Lane Kiffin's season this year and understand how many breaks Lane Kiffin has caught this year. Number one, the Arkansas game came down to legit one play that went in his favor. He also played against the old LSU defense, which, by the way, as you guys learned this week, he was a big reason why the defense changed. How different is the Ole Miss game if we have our new defense? It's probably a lot closer, right? Lane Kiffin also was one play away from losing versus Tennessee. That game was very hostile. So, once again, it was a good win. It was a good road win. Then he got to draw Vanderbilt, which was very lucky because, of course, Ole Miss or do they play each other every year? Who's Vanderbilt's cross division? Is Vanderbilt's cross division really Ole Miss? I think it is. So you get that good luck, right? So, yeah, Lane's had some things go his way. His teams are heavily penalized. But as many of you know, Lane has been firmly in my top 5. And to even start this search, Lane Kiffin was my number one name. He is no longer my number one name, but he's still in my top 5. And I would be thrilled if Lane Kiffin was the next coach of LSU. but understand that there are a lot of flaws surrounding Lane too. I like that. I feel like I got something caught in my throat. It's got to shimmy a little bit. Napier broke Liberty's 34 home game winning streak. I need to go watch the highlights of this game, though. I haven't seen a single highlight from the game. So, I'm so focused in on LSU. I did spend a lot of time watching the Alabama-Arkansas game. I know a lot of you have questions about that game. So most of my high school and childhood friends are Arkansas fans, right? So, I grew up in Arkansas, and I really wanted Arkansas to win that game. They just, I do think the LSU game got them off to the wrong foot today, because unless you play LSU, you can't back into victories. And I thought Arkansas was way too conservative early. Then they started getting aggressive. They have really good wide receivers. And then at the end of the game, they got conservative. Here's the thing. The next head coach can't go run, pass versus Alabama with the game on the line. I wanted to punch a hole in the wall watching Arkansas go down like that, right? King Robert, thank you for the generous super chat. Okay. Good question here. Who would you pick first? Billy Napier or Lane Kiffin? So here's what we'll do, Robert. Since you gave a very generous super chat here, let's do this. Let's end this poll, and let's use Robert's super chat as an actual poll question. See? Create a poll right here. Okay. Wonder how Simper is going to answer this one. Go. Right there. Perfect. So there you go. Everyone vote in the poll. All right. So, Robert, I would pick Lane Kiffin. I would. Now, once again, I will say this. This is where Scott Woodward is actually the one making the decision, and I'm not. As many of you know, I focus on this channel mostly about football, right? So even when Ed Orgeron got fired, I didn't really touch on the personal stuff. Now, I talked about some of his off the field issues, and I did bring up that I only care if those off the field issues affect his actual coaching. I do think it did to a certain degree, but the bottom line is Ed Orgeron would still be the coach right now if he had a fresher defensive scheme, because I think LSU would be 6-4 right now instead of 4-6, and I think he would still have his job. I really do. I really, really do. Now, with that said, there might be an off the field thing that we don't know about, right? I'm not an insider. I'm not a coaching consultant. I tend to stay away from those things because they do affect your analysis. But maybe there is something off the field with Lane Kiffin or Billy Napier that we don't know about. So understand that there are factors that we can't take into the equation. Now, if we are just talking purely football, I would say Lane Kiffin. I would, simply because of his track record throwing the football down the field. I thought Billy Napier's offense this year with Levi Lewis, a very well-rounded, experienced quarterback, I thought their passing game would be a lot better vertically this year. And you guys saw Ohio State. You guys saw Alabama. You guys have seen Georgia. You're not going to beat these guys playing smash mouth football. You're just not going to do it. You've got to attack them vertically. And this might bother a lot of people in the chat here, and that's perfectly fine. Sometimes I have to say things that is just hard truth. Well, here's a little bit of that. Alabama and Georgia is always going to have slightly better talent than we do. Not a lot, but they're always going to have just a little bit more of a recruiting advantage. So, schematically, offensively, we've got to have something vertical in our passing game. And Lane Kiffin will guarantee that for us. I can't say the same about Billy Napier, but I do think Billy will find ways to move the football. I think he's talented enough of a coach. So, we'll see. We'll see. So, Robert, I am going to go with Lane slightly, but understand that this is with me not knowing anything personally about either of the candidates. And Scott Woodward, of course, when making this decision, has probably 2 or 3 private investigators that are doing their due diligence. So right now in this poll, Billy Napier is currently leading, but I will say we do have a lot, and I mean a lot of viewers in the Lafayette, Louisiana region. So that might be skewing our sample. So Robert, let me ask you this. Who would you rather see, just in case I didn't miss your take on this? Marcella says, can I answer neither? Huh? Let's see. If you guys want to know something that's not true, it's this. Cincinnati is definitely getting in the top 4 with Oregon losing. That's not true. It's just not true. Notre Dame will probably take that number 4 slot. Jeff, he probably wins the award, to be honest, because the Ohio State receivers cannibalize each other. There's only 2 wide receivers in the SEC this year that hold a candle to Kayshawn, and that's Jamison Williams and Traylon Burks. Those are the only 2. There's some other good ones. Mekhi Polk, Dontario Drummond, George Pickens, if he would have been healthy. But Kayshawn was the best. That's a good question, though. I don't think Cincinnati's getting into this. I don't. It did help that they did blow somebody out, but they need a lot of help. And this is going to upset a lot of people in the chat. But I do think 11-2 Alabama gets in over Cincinnati. I do. I think 11-2 Alabama gets in over Cincinnati. I also, and this also is going to be, I don't want to get too deep in a playoff, but if you guys want to talk playoff, that's perfectly fine. Robert, your super chat is still up. I know you wanted to talk Billy Napier and Lane Kiffin. So once again, for Robert's super chat, I need as many of you voting in the poll right now. And look, if you guys want to talk playoff, I'll talk some playoff right now. So I do think there is a myth involving the playoff. I don't think the college football playoff committee actually chooses the teams. I think that they might move 1 or 2 teams around, but I do think that they follow a close-knit formula right now, and they have over the past couple of seasons, where they look at game control, offensive efficiency, a bunch of different stats. My guy, CFB Matrix, every week guesses to near certainty and near exact, as close as you possibly can get, playoff prognostications. And they follow a very similar formula. And I do think I do think that's what the playoff does. So, John, thank you for the super chat. So, the top five to replace Ed Orgeron and your reasoning for each. So, we talked about a few. I would say Billy Napier and Lane Kiffin are in my top five. Lane for sure is in my top five. Mel Tucker is still in my top five ish, but once again, the reports of his extension are out there. And even though Jimbo Fisher is making a lot of money, he also has a $0 buyout, and it's a more practical move. I think at this point, Jimbo is more likely to take the LSU job than Mel Tucker. So I don't think Mel is leaving Michigan State anytime soon, even though the disaster that happened today was a disaster. And his secondary is one of the slowest secondaries I've ever seen in my life. They are really slow. I'm not sure if any of them run better than 4.5 or 4.6. They're that slow. While I sit here with my 6'5" beer gut. I don't have a beer gut. I'm just chubby. But okay. So Mel Tucker's still in my top 5, top 10-ish. But obviously after today, he's sliding. I don't think one game determines your head coaching candidacy. And he's going up against Ohio State. And he just caught him on a really bad day. So yeah, if it ends up being Mel, which it's not, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I still think LSU needs to hire an offensive coach, unless it's Dave Aranda. I like Dave Aranda a lot, John, mainly because fourth down decision making, LSU. Thank you, Robert. His LSU ties, elite defensive schematics. And look, I like Dave Aranda a lot more if he's bringing Jeff Grimes with them. And I do think this is Carvis, you've had a lot of good comments. This one could not be further from the truth, Carvis. You guys have never seen me standing up. So at least I think you haven't. The truth is, I'll go ahead and say this because I have gotten questions about like, how tall are you? A lot of you got to meet me last week. And some of you do think I'm really tall because of the photo, the selfie that we took. I was actually standing on a bench. So a lot of people thought I was just really tall. I am not Yao Ming. I'm not Kevin Durant. I am a measly 5'8". So yes, John, back to your super chat. And Robert wants to also talk coaching candidates. I'm a big Lincoln Riley guy, even though today wasn't the best. True freshman quarterback, growing pains. It is what it is, right? I still like Lincoln Riley a lot. I really do. I like his offensive scheme. I like that he's young. I do think he wants a fresh start. I do think today he might feel he's maxed out his potential at Oklahoma. I still think, with his future at Oklahoma, I do think he's still open to potentially leaving. But yeah, Lincoln Riley still, even though today wasn't a good day for him, they won, but he's still my number one candidate. My number two candidate is probably still Lane, even though I'm not as on fire about it as I once was. My number three candidate is probably Dave Aranda. My number four candidate, there is a lot to like about a guy like Matt Campbell. I'm also very interested. Now, hear me out. This is going to sound crazy, okay? I'm also very interested if he were to go to the playoff this year and get routed again. Robert, you're 5'10"? You're 5'10"? I like it. Yeah, Simper. Carvis wants to know. Oh no. Oh, I run a 6'5" 40. Okay, I can see why you're confused. I like Matt Campbell a lot. But I don't see this happening. Culturally, I don't think this would be a good fit, but I do want to float this name out here. If Notre Dame gets crushed in the playoff again this year, Brian Kelly might be interested in leaving. Look, that is a true scenario where Notre Dame is maxed out. There's only a certain type of athlete that they can get, and you can't get them at Notre Dame at as many positions as you need them to beat an SEC team. Okay? This guy has won, what, 10 games for the fifth year in a row now? Notre Dame has these ridiculous academic standards. They play tough schedules, weird schedules every year. Brian Kelly's been a top 5 coach in this sport the last 5 years, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Saban and Dabo are the only 2 people that can really make a case that they are better than Brian Kelly right now. So, it's not a perfect fit culturally. It's not a perfect fit as far as recruiting is concerned. But Brian Kelly is really freaking good at this. He just is. Okay. Okay. So this is a comment that I get a lot as far as Lincoln Riley is concerned. How many playoff wins does Coach X have? Okay. Well, it's flawed logic. It really is. Because Lincoln Riley, outside of who I just mentioned, Brian Kelly, are the only coaches that have even been to the playoff that we've even mentioned. So, playoff losses, this is not the NFL. This is not there's not enough playoff games to determine a coach is not a good playoff coach or not, right? What's the difference in culture? Well, Notre Dame is a completely different program than LSU as far as the culture surrounding the program, the city it's in. It's 2 different countries, really. So yeah, and Brian Kelly does have some skeletons in the closet, not really anything too crazy. But yeah, I don't think that, like I said, I don't think the culture is a big thing. It is different though, going from Notre Dame to the SEC. Exactly. It's just different. Now, that doesn't matter in the NFL where all you do is coach football. Uh, yeah, of course that counts, Danielle. It's great. One of the sharpest minds, sharpest football personalities is Mina Kimes. Uh, one of my best friends, Tatum Everett, is like one of the best football reporters out there. She works for the Vikings now. Christina Pink. I used to sit with next to her at Les Miles press conferences. She's great. So yeah, it's great. More women, the better. Uh, exactly. You you just you just can't. As far as like pick this coach based on his playoff record, it doesn't make any sense. Roby Muschamp as defensive coordinator. It's interesting. Will can win a national championship ring. All right. So I was going to ask this question. How many of you actually went to the game tonight? Okay. This is a really good comment. As you guys know, Branson's been with us. He reps Ponchatoula, excuse me. Uh, TJ had some good moments tonight, even though they lost. Carter, when I tell you in my 14 years or so of going to LSU games tonight, and today with tailgating was the worst energy. So yeah, 8 p.m. kick, Texas A&M game around the corner, home game the week before, the worst team we've had legit ever. I mean, since the 90s. Uh, I totally get it. It sucked. Once again, I had friends sneak into the games tonight. They just walked in. What I would have done tonight, and I understand this would have been chaos, I would have allowed a bunch of boys and girls club kids that have never been to a game get to just sit wherever so they can go to the game, right? And I hate it because there's hundreds and really there's thousands of fans that would kill to go to a Tiger Stadium game. There's thousands of fans that have never been in Tiger Stadium before, right? Uh, exactly, Matt. How many people actually went to the game? This is fair. This is a fair criticism. I wouldn't run Riley because he struggles to beat subpar teams. Well, this year he has struggled to beat subpar teams. I don't know what it is with Oklahoma. It's like the weirdest 10-1 team I think you'll ever see. They have gotten very lucky and they have played a bunch of, I mean, trust me, there's a lot of criticisms as far as, you know, the energy surrounding Lincoln Riley right now. And I totally get it. I really do. Britt, good to see you, man. This is true as well. If anyone, once again, I want to throw this out here. If anyone has 4 tickets to the A&M game, let me know. I have some friends from Sweden that would like to go. That coach football in Sweden, actually. Uh, yeah, Danielle knows a lot. I'm a freshman in high school and 6'2", 210, and starting varsity football. There you go, Jeff. Where do you play, man? I'm interested. Uh, man, I don't know. That's interesting, Scarlett. You only go to the A&M game, home or away. That's good. There you go. Starting right guard and defensive end. I like it. Men's team looking good. I like it. That's the funny thing about Lincoln. You know, his defenses have played well in recent weeks against a capable Iowa State team today, even though they were bad in some spots. Uh, You know, it's funny. Oklahoma recruits the defensive side of the football not as well as LSU, but they do fine. I think I did a quick count since 2017. LSU has recruited roughly 40 to 42 4-star defensive players or better. Oklahoma's number is anywhere from 36 to 38 or 39. The reason why I don't have exact numbers is because some players are labeled as athlete, and I don't know what position they ended up playing in Oklahoma. I didn't see. But based on just a raw count, Oklahoma, they've got athletes. They just don't have quite as good as LSU athletes. But if you look at their blue chip ratios, LSU and Oklahoma's blue chip ratio is identical. Um, but I shared this yesterday. I did a thing with Blake at Are You Serious last night on Twitter, and and there is something to be said about the Louisiana 3-star, right? Oklahoma doesn't have that. In fact, they've had some Louisiana 3-stars at their school. Uh, Lincoln just doesn't win convincingly enough. That's fair. That's a fair criticism. That's a fair criticism. What I meant earlier was that Cincinnati is going to get in the top 4 playoff rankings this coming Tuesday. Okay, so let me get to this really quickly. Playoff rankings. Okay. So the latest football playoff ranking. Okay. I still think Arkansas left a huge opportunity on the table today. I just wish they did not go conservative. I really hate it when teams do that. Here's the thing, and Terry Bowden made this mistake tonight with ULM. Okay, if you are the heavy underdog and you're at a huge talent disadvantage, okay, you know what happens is, well, you should be aggressive. You should not back your way into victories. Now, here's what I think Terry Bowden should have done tonight. Yes, they missed 2 point-blank touchdowns from a yard away, but the fact that he did not go for points right before the half when LSU has gotten bailed out with that very thing multiple times this year where teams just don't go for points. When LSU was giving up a lot of points at the end of the first half against Alabama, against Florida, LSU was bad in the final few minutes of the second quarter. Terry Bowden should have put the foot on the gas pedal. Number one, you were already down 10. Number two, they were getting the ball first to start the next half. And number three, LSU on tape has proven that they're not good to close out the second quarter, right? So Oregon lost big today, but Michigan's going to jump Cincinnati today or on this coming week. They're just going to. That's just how the playoff works. Cincinnati's strength of schedule was just so bad. Yes, SMU was a good team that they beat today, and they beat them soundly. But Michigan blowing out the team that they blew out today is going to make them number 4, and Cincinnati is going to be number 5. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Aaron says out the box pick Frank Wilson. No. And I like Frank a lot. It would be a cool LSU homecoming. But no. It can't be Frank. I would like to see Frank get that job. I mean, he was such a huge part of those early 2000 Les Miles teams as far as getting so many players on board. Jared, I texted you, and I was about to get mad at you for not showing up. Jared, you have to admit, you guys know the chat is always more lively with Jared in here. Jared, did you go to the game tonight? Please tell me you didn't drive from Alabama to watch that. You know what? Oklahoma should be 2. Bama is not normal having a Bama year. I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State jumps Bama, knowing how badly they beat down a 7th-ranked team, where Bama struggled with a 21st-ranked team. Let's see. Once again, y'all show Jared some love, man. Please don't tell me you went to the game. Do you think Woodward is leaking names to gauge fan reactions? Riley leaked Bill O'Brien. I think some of that is true, Danielle. I also think, whenever you gauge interest, you do have third parties and coach searching firms. Pretty sure Scott Woodward has a search firm that's helping him out with this search. I also think this is true, Danielle. I think the Lincoln Riley link. I think the link with Lincoln Riley earlier this week had a lot more to do with someone else leaking Riley's contract details, right? Because the J Boy report earlier this week, once again, we don't know if it's accurate or not. I don't know what to believe at this point. I like J Boy a lot. It was interesting that J Boy not only include the contract, 96 million over 8 years, which is kind of ironic because that is near the contract that we said in our initial Lincoln Riley video. But and that was 2 weeks ago. So Scott Woodward, if you're watching right now, welcome. I doubt. I don't believe that. But my dad went to Catholic High. But yeah, I do think Lincoln Riley is being courted for this job, though. I do. Jared said I fell asleep in the third quarter. Let's see. I think Prez went to the game. Did we win? No, but Rich Rodriguez almost murdered his own son. Why not University Texas San Antonio versus Cincy in the BCS title? I love that. Okay, so this is a good question. How many 5 stars flop on the regular? Stars mean nothing, heart does. At LSU, the 5-star flop rate is a little bit higher than you would like it to be. For out-of-state guys, it's definitely higher than Louisiana 5 stars. So yeah, I think John Emery's like the first Louisiana 5-star that's going to be a bust in a long time. Which sucks. I like John. I hope everything works out for him. Cardell was not a composite 5-star. And he started tonight, so I give him credit. Rich Rod was losing. What was that? And the announcer kept saying hot lava, hot lava. What was that? What was that? It was something. That was so great. I hope somebody has that gift. Rich Rodriguez going crazy. Love it. Let's see. Oh, look. They have it right here. Vlosky's got it. God, I love Vlosky. All right. Let's see. Let me pull it up. What is that? Oh, man. That is a thing of beauty. So good. John Emery's coming back, Carvis. I love it. Is he pretty chill? Have you met him, Scarlett? That'd be interesting. Yeah, Danielle, this is actually really interesting. comment. So I've gotten a few questions about this. Why does the current defense without the five stars actually play better than with them? So let's actually break this down. Okay, it's a myth to think that the LSU defense is better off without Derek Stingley and Elias Ricks and all those guys, right? Mason Smith. Uh, your defense is definitely better with those guys than without them. But what those guys missing eventually made LSU do was be more creative defensively, right? So the issue weren't those guys. The issue was that LSU had the worst scheme ever, ever defensively. I really do mean this wholeheartedly. LSU's defensive scheme is the worst defensive scheme I have ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything worse than that. They ran the same thing every play to the point where I question every single coach on the staff. Now, notice I didn't say analyst because analyst in the grand scheme of things can only really make suggestions. I don't know how any coach, here's what I would have done. If I was a coach, if I was a defensive coach on LSU's staff, I would have forced them to start playing more variety on defense, or else I would quit my job. Because you would have to know going into every game, you have no chance of winning the game if you keep running the same play over and over defensively, like LSU did, right? So yeah, it's an issue. And that is true to a certain degree as well, right? That they have been playing hard. It does help having Damon Clark having the season that he's having. And it does help that Neil Farrell has been one of our best defensive tackles in quite some time. I mean, he's really good. Uh, he's just really, really good. So yeah. Um Anthony Freak Johnson wasn't a flop. He wasn't next level, and he should have come back for an extra season, but he wasn't a flop. He did make second team All SEC. Some of that was just name recognition because he was such a big star coming out of high school. But if he would have come back an extra year, he would have dominated and probably would have gotten drafted. So I wouldn't necessarily call him a flop. A flop is someone that just gives you nothing. So at this point, John Emery, it's unfortunate what's happened to him this year. He's not really giving you a whole lot, right? In competitive games. Flop? Carter a flop? Exactly. So yeah, I don't think John Emery's like a flop, but he's definitely not lived up to expectations, right? And a lot of it, once again, he should have been eligible to play. I think everything surrounding him is BS. So yeah, I wouldn't call John Emery a flop per se, but at the same time, has John Emery made a big time play in a competitive game up to this point? Um, just don't know. But I like John Emery, and I hope he comes back next year and balls out of control, right? Because I'm not sure if Corey Kiner is ready to take over this job, right? It's good to see Corin Norman get a carry. The guy's done so much for this team. I give him a lot of credit. At a Carvis. Scheme and coaching helps offensively and defensively. 5-star talent matters defensively, but LSU are third rotation guys can start on other teams. Carvis, you brought up Ray Darius Jones. Did he play tonight? Once again, it's all kind of a blur. Let me see if he played tonight. Ray Darius has had some good games recently, and they've never really let him play. And for good reason. If the guy, I don't think he was healthy. Once again, this is a major downside of the college game is that in the NFL, you get official injury reports. I mean, they have to file them, right? In college, we just don't know. Like tonight was the first night I saw Antoine Sampa, and he's just on the sideline. He's just on the sideline with his jersey, just sitting there, right? Bring Montrell Johnson. He played, but he should play more. I agree with that, especially considering, this is Evans' last year, right? Savion Jones is getting some run. So I guess we're not going to see Bryce Langston this year. And Ed Orgeron called Bryce Langston essentially the second coming. I think he called him Michael Brockers or someone like that. But what do I know? See if Ed Orgeron said anything in the post game. Okay, so this is my issue, right? So I want to show you guys this. This is true right here. Huh? I want here's this. If you guys want to know why, and I got some blowback for this, why I want the coordinators to speak to the media, it's because, and I understand you guys know this, but this is why it's important for the coordinators and at least some other assistant to chat. It's because Ed Orgeron says one thing, and a lot of times the opposite is true. Okay. So we scroll down here. Okay. Ed Orgeron on if he'll coach a bowl game if LSU beats A&M next week. We'll discuss that. I'll discuss that with the administration. We'll see. We haven't gotten that far. Okay. He said at his initial press conference that he would coach the bowl game. He said that had already been discussed. Okay. So what is it? I mean, are you coach? I can understand. So look, I'll put it right here. Brody Miller, Orgeron said earlier this year that he coached a bowl game. So which one is it? Doesn't make sense. Okay. So let's go back to Julie's transcription here. Ed Orgeron expects LSU to be energized next week. I don't think it's playing for a bowl game. I think it's beating Texas A&M. That'll be our motivating factor. Garrett Nussmeier, who wasn't going to play tonight, was running fever, not the virus, and couldn't be at the game. There's a bug going around the team. Could be why Ray Darius Jones didn't play. Ed Orgeron said he's going to be animated, and here's TDP. Did anyone not ask about the ULM game? That this was, well, I guess most people just don't care at this point. Here's the thing. $17 million. There will never be anything in my lifetime that will be more astonishing in the world of sports than college football coaches' buyouts. There will never be anything ever in sports that is more astonishing than that. To get paid $17 million just to leave. I'll never forget this. Kevin Sumlin had such a great contract at Texas A&M. When he was fired, they had to pay him $10 million within 60 days of termination. Now, whoever that agent was is a genius. And all Kevin Sumlin did was make that $10 million, go take the head coaching job at Arizona, be absolutely atrocious there, and get more buyout money. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. I'll tell you this, Brett. I don't think Ed Orgeron is ever going to super chat my channel. I don't. 17 months. It's embarrassing. Yeah, Danielle, I kind of don't want to do one, but we will do one tomorrow at 7 p.m. Okay. I really don't. I mean, I'll say this. ULM, and this is just the truth, and I really do feel this way. ULM did more to lose the game tonight than LSU did to win it. Okay, we had the two really good big plays from Malik tonight that were really awesome, and of course, BTJ's running catch was impressive, and Devon Clark and Neil Farrell once again, all otherworldly again. But yeah, we sucked. I mean, we just sucked tonight. I mean, ULM is not a good football team. This was a 4-6 Sun Belt team. It's wild. Carter, it's not that we don't care. It's that we're all ready for it to just go away now, not next week, but right now, please. Let's check in on the poll question here. And by the way, Reggie, let me know how your battle is going with the Evil C. We end on 69 votes. Nice. Our latest poll ends on 69 votes. I am not a decent comedian, and I haven't been on stage in over a year. Right? That's an insult to actually, I guess decent is fair. Decent isn't great, so I guess I'll take decent. Did Billy win the poll? Eric, thanks for the super chat. TDP versus ULM, better player tonight. Carvis, we'll see you. Haley did not watch the game tonight. Z didn't even watch the game tonight. Let's see. TDP versus ULM. I thought he was good tonight. Eric, I think this is a question. Everyone show Reggie some love. Reggie, you do have some booger bands. And Robert, who is also fighting cancer, knows the strength of the Boog the Dog bands. So, Reggie, I'm pretty sure you got yours in the mail. So rock them, baby. Best of luck to you, Reggie. You got this, my guy. TDP versus ULM, better player tonight. I do think TDP was really good tonight. I do. He took what the defense gave him. They weren't going to let him beat them. This obviously wasn't Florida. 21 carries, 82 yards. I also didn't think LSU ran counter that much. And I think that's by design to go along with what Carvis just said. Maybe to think that Texas A&M is expecting LSU to not run much counter. Be somebody. I like it. So Eric, I think I think TDP had a fine game tonight. Obviously, it wasn't as good as his Bama game. It wasn't as good as his Florida game. But overall, he's had here you go, still going to the gym. I like it. Why is it Jim Leonard, the defensive coordinator of Wisconsin, getting more looks? Good question. I do think he's going. So, let's see, Jim Leonard. Once again, he's a defensive coach. I'd prefer an offensive coach. Also, I do think Jim Leonard will be an NFL defensive coordinator. Played in the league a long time. He's a little bit younger, so I could see that happening. And I have said Jim Leonard's a little overrated. He's been really good this year, though. There's no other way around it. I'm on that same one, man. When you talk the whole time, you can't really just chug it. Oh, did y'all go to the game tonight, Scarlett? Let's see. Yeah, this is the truth. You know, if you win a national championship, people look back on you fondly. Or if you win a lot, people will remember you fondly. If you're Chad Morris, they're not gonna remember you fondly. But you see, this is why, you know, if you have a national championship koozie, your beer remains cold. So you didn't know that, did you? Don't hate on my beer drinking techniques. That's true, Danielle. Rallying the NFL. I know it's interested him. But Eric, let me know if I answered your question okay here. I'm always down to talk some TDP. Let's see. Yard per play numbers. So we averaged, this is what I'm talking about, guys. So in the first half, we averaged 7.1 yards per play. And then in the second half, our total yard per play numbers went down to 5.7. Once again, not choking out the opposition. It bothers the heck out of me, right? So basically, over the past 2 seasons, LSU has only dominated 2 teams. Over the past 2 seasons, okay? Think of how large of a sample size that is, right? So you played 10 games last year. And then this year, what? You've played 11 games. So in a 21 game sample, LSU has only dominated 2 teams. Central Michigan and Vanderbilt of last year. Now, they did dominate McNeese, but that is an FCS team, and it's kind of hard to say you dominated someone when you barely scraped 300 yards. The McNeese game was awful. Now, look, you're not going to four-quarter dominate a lot of teams, but the point is there's just so much chaos, right? LSU just has these really chaotic games. See here. Since one of my super chats was a statement, not a question, here's my question. If that's ULL tonight instead of ULM, does LSU win? And why is the answer no? Yeah, I think UL beats LSU right now. I do. I really do. And I'm not just saying that. I'm very happy we don't have to play UL this year. But it's kind of like why Arkansas doesn't ever play Arkansas State. You know, there's nothing to gain. Outside runs. Is TDP not fast enough? Is scheme not enough to open him up? Yeah, I mean, TDP's just not an outside runner. He's a counter interior runner. Now he can bounce and get the edge, but that's just not his game. You know, it's just not who he is. TDP is if Jerome Bettis did Tybo for a week, and that's the result of that. I mean, that's who TDP is. He's Jerome Bettis. I don't know why I said Tybo. If y'all want to talk LSU basketball, feel free to super chat. I try and keep it LSU football, but I will touch on some basketball if we get a super chat. It's not a fun fact, William, but you are a Raging Cajun. So tell me this, Raging Cajun fans, are you enjoying LSU struggles? I think that would seem kind of strange. Oregon State won tonight. I almost played Oregon State tonight. They were getting 3 points at home versus this Herm Edwards tenure that's turned into a disaster. Let me see. Let's see this. $24-10. Yuck. I was cheering for Herm Edwards too. Oh man, that is a brutal way to end the season. Oh, I met Herm Edwards in Tiger Stadium. Play calling was a little weird tonight. I do think some of it was hiding what could potentially be an all or nothing game versus Texas A&M next week. I think that's part of it. When LSU got up by so here's the thing that happens. The worst score to be up by around the third quarter is about 17 points, right? Because the other team begins to press and you as an offense just automatically say, okay, we're up by 3 possessions. We're just going to take it easy. And that's what LSU did when they got up by 17. So, yeah. That fake kick was dumb and not necessary. Oh, the fake punt. Yeah, they should have just gone for it, but if Jontre didn't slip, he probably catches that ball. Let's see, Carter, do you think Miles will strongly reconsider staying with the way the QBs have looked, especially if we get an offensive head coach? That is interesting, Branson. This is part of why I thought Miles Brennan should have come back and played this season. He just didn't get healthy enough. Part of the reason is number one, I do think Miles reps would have done him some good at this point. The second thing is I do think Miles can win this job going into next year. I do. I just think though he needs to go somewhere where he can guarantee that he can play. Um, but yeah, he's definitely going to be one of the, if not the top quarterback in the portal. New coach needs to clean house. I think part of this is also true. I think Miles kind of sort of wants to leave. It would not shock. We'll see. Wide receiver stability is interesting. What the wide receiver rotation is going to look like. So yeah, guys, we're an hour and 30 into it. I don't mind hanging out for a little bit longer. It is almost 1 a.m. As always, if you do super chat, we'll hang out all night long. Let's see where we are. Normally, I like to get to roughly 100. We are at 70 right now. It's cool. I'll take 70. Let's see here. Can you imagine Lincoln stays and Miles transfers to OU and wins the Heisman? Oh, Caleb Williams is going to be their guy. Caleb Williams is better than Miles, so they wouldn't want Miles. True. Let's talk some Walker Howard. 63 points. So who do they play next? I mean, do they play anyone impressive? Jacoby Matthews. I like it. Love it, man. I wish him the best. Now, what did he do last night? Good. Jacoby had his best game all year last night. Finally run stuffed and didn't just cover all game. Good. Cool. Jack Bash. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Wait, what's this, Scarlett? I got a comment from Caleb Williams telling me that Riley ain't leaving OU and he ain't coming with him. Tell me more about this, Scarlett. I'm genuinely curious about this. No, I'm serious, Scarlett. I'm not. I don't want to say anything else. You got a comment? I'm genuinely curious. William, you always share this information. Like a few live chats ago, you shared the information about you and your girlfriend's stepdad fighting or something like that. And then now we learn about this doctor's appointment. What? I mean, what's it for? Are you getting is it a heart transplant? Is it just a checkup? Is it a colonoscopy? What's happening here, William? We can't. I mean, I would have to shut my channel down, William, if like we don't have crappy IPA chatter. Caleb Williams is kind of a basic name. It could be basically anyone. I've never really understood the name Caleb. Caleb is such a who came up with that name, right? I've never understood the name Caleb. I just haven't. I just found out TDP is in my mass media class. That's good. Yeah, KO, that is interesting. A doctor's appointment on a Sunday. I don't know. I hope it goes well, William. I really do. All jokes aside, Caleb is a. Was it on an IG live? Oh, okay, here we go. It was a comment on a video. I made a comment about Riley leaving OU, and that was in my mentions. He said Caleb Williams and it had a football pic of him. Yeah, most of if it was on Instagram, he would probably be verified. So you'd have like a blue check mark on it. So that's the thing. It's crazy. Like I've known a lot of doctors and nurses. I don't know many appointments on a Sunday. Caleb is a biblical name. That's right. Doctor's appointment on a Sunday. It's settled. uh, uh, Scarlet is so good. Oh man, Scarlet. I hope you're. But that's the thing. You never know. You know what's funny, Scarlet? If it was on Instagram, I have always learned that more often than not, everything on Instagram is more likely to be fake than real, right? Thanks for the super chat, Scarlet. I think I think I'm curious, Scarlet, what's this on IG or YouTube or Twitter? No, that's so weird. Sunday. That's funny. Jacoby wore A&M gloves to the game with an LSU towel to let everyone know that Jimbo would be LSU's next coach. I like that. on YouTube. I didn't take it seriously. It was just funny and out of the blue. I think it was him. Huh? Huh? Ah. That is funny. Huh? 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 Oh. Chick-fil-A is Chick-fil-A open on Sundays now? Yeah, Reggie. I mean, I think it's easy to say that now, and I agree with you. I mean, I was a huge Aranda guy, but I don't think there's anyone that would that rationally could say Ed Orgeron doesn't need to be the coach anymore. What I do think is interesting, okay, and this is a very interesting topic, right? I don't know why LSU had to give Ed Orgeron a raise. I don't know why. Oh wait, why did we get a shut up? Someone said shut up. I was like, it's kind of it's kind of rough. Huh? Huh? Here's one thing I would say, Reggie. Right? If you guys want a late night observation here, I do think one thing I would have asked Scott Woodward is why did you give Ed Orgeron the raise to begin with? So he won you the national championship, right? Where was he going to go? That's my question. Okay. Where was he going to go? This is not, it wasn't a Nick Saban type of situation where there are schools out there that would pay Nick Saban more than what he's making in Alabama to take over their program, right? But that's the thing. It was Woodward that gave him the raise. Uh, I never understood that. I understand giving Ed Orgeron a bump, which is different, right? He was in 2019. I think his salary was what, like 4 million or something like that. I can understand getting him up to 6 or 7 million, but he made it up to what, 8 or 9 million this year. Yeah, Scott Woodward was the athletic director in 2019. It was Joe Oliva who hired Ed Orgeron. Yes, Ed Orgeron got the raise. But the thing is, on your contract, there are incentives for you to, there are incentives when you actually win. That's the money you should receive when you win. There is no reason to fork over all that extra money. I understand that Ed Orgeron's agent would say, look, Dabo Sweeney makes this amount of money, and Nick Saban makes this amount of money, and all these other coaches who don't have national championships and who don't have the greatest team of all time make this amount of money. My client deserves $8 million a year. I said it at the time. I thought Ed Orgeron would make more college football playoffs. No one could have predicted him being this bad. Nobody. But it didn't make any sense to give him top 3, top 5 coach money, right? Because my question would have been to Scott Woodward, is there an NFL team out there that would want Ed Orgeron? Is there another college job that would have wanted Ed Orgeron? And if the answer to that is no, then where is he going to go? So that's my thing, right? No, I disagree with this. And a few people have said this as well. Ed Orgeron should give the money back. Heavens no, right? Now, me personally, I would like for him to do that. But no, you signed the contract. You should get what you were agreed upon unless there's a severance or an agreement or whatever. Okay? So that was always my thing. Like, for instance, if Dabo Swinney wanted to leave Clemson today, there is a long list of programs that would take him. A long list. Okay? Nick Saban, even Ryan Day, right, who is really attached at the hip to what Urban gave him at Ohio State. I think even Ryan Day would have a lot of suitors. I just don't know after the national championship how many teams out there would have said, okay, we're going to give Ed Orgeron $7 to $8 million a year now. Now, I understand we were all caught up in the 2019 thing, and Scott Woodward was right to think that Ed Orgeron was going to continue what he was going to continue. So once again, it's not the worst move in ever. But yeah, maybe USC. That would have made sense, right? But here would be my response to that. Okay. Let's just say hypothetically that Ed Orgeron at the time was courted by someone else. Well, you had within a 2-decade sample of 2 separate coaches who also won national championships. So this is not a Nick Saban at Alabama situation where one guy is winning Alabama all these championships. That's always been the thing, is a lot of head coaches are very replaceable. They just are. Okay? A lot of your success comes down to the program you're at. Okay? You got to have a recruiting framework. And a lot of it is just where you are. So a lot of different types of head coaches can win anywhere. That, or, what I think is going to happen is, we'll obviously sit this next year out and get a defensive line coach job somewhere. I think Mullen will get an OC job pretty quickly. I don't think Mullen will become an analyst. I think he'll get an OC job pretty quickly. Remember that, Mullen was really good last year. Like, his offense was really good last year. Teddy EJ, what's good? Welcome to the channel, man. I think this is your first time here. Welcome Teddy EJ. Branson Cat went to the game as well. Tell me this, Teddy and Branson. Did the game atmosphere suck tonight? I am kind of curious about that. Did it feel different? Was Tiger Stadium actually packed? Were there a bunch of empty seats? It was horrible. 1/8 filled, except student section about half filled. Oh, it was packed enough to say that the team there. Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. People started leaving around third quarter. Cool stuff. I also think this is going to sound crazy. If things didn't get as sour as they've gotten, I also would consider bringing Mullen back because I don't know how good the head coach pool is going to be this offseason. And once again, I mean, you were just in the SEC championship game last year, and they should have fired Grantham last year. After third, it was 115th. I like that we're getting into. I just love the fact that you divided the stadium up into 15ths. I can understand 1/16th because of the 4-8. I could get that, but 1/15th is such a specific percentile. So 1/15th would mean 1 in 10, that would be 10% full. So 1 in 15 would be what? 1 in 15, 1 in 20 would be 5%. So 1 in 15 would be 7.5% full, would it not? So Branson just commented and said, I like that. Let me see if I got that right. It's late. 1 and 15th. No, I was wrong. It was 6.666666% full. That's some devilish crap you just pulled, Branson. I don't know, Dalton. I don't like the fact that you did not enter your normal phrase whenever you jumped in. This is an interesting question. Do you think the team would have been had a better record if O was still fighting for his job? Once again, it is a good question, right? Maybe, uh, maybe. I would say I would feel the Arkansas game would probably be a little different. But yeah, it's tough to say. Jared, it was 2/30th full. Branson is just doing. Branson was in the stadium with an abacus, just looking. I love it, man. Yeah, Master Blaster. It was your super chat that fueled me tonight. If one for you, we're at $75 in our post game chat. That's good, man. Master Blaster. Let's see. God, the BTJ touchdown was really good tonight. Oh, Tony. Mm. So do you have like actual printed tickets, or are you able tell me this, are you able to transfer, because for my tickets last week, I had someone just electronically text them. I still think there could have been something done tonight about letting some people that never get to go. Dang, Tony, you could have texted me the tickets. I would have gone. I could see a Rand at USC. I very well could. Sark. Oh man. What is it? This is the first time they've lost 6 in a row since the 60s. You're not going next week, Tony? I know someone that might buy your tickets, Tony. Just shoot me an email after. I'm still looking for 4 tickets. My guys in Sweden are looking for 4 tickets. I know someone that'd be willing to help you part ways with those tickets. Some PHLers. All right, Scarlett. You and your husband, y'all are great supporters of PHL. Could not disagree more with this. I just couldn't. You don't just shoot me an email, Tony. You don't want to expand the playoff. You don't. A big issue with American sports, these sports that we all know and love. So the NFL, you have to have playoffs. March Madness, you kind of sort of have to have it. There's just so many teams, and they're more evenly matched. I just don't think, especially from the SEC perspective, I think if you're Cincinnati, of course you want to expand the playoffs, right? You don't want to devalue the regular season at all. And if you go to 4 or if you go to 6, I'm fine with 6, right? 8, I guess maybe. I just don't think it's good. I just don't. Now, as a major fan of college football, not going to lie, I think I would enjoy watching the playoffs, kind of like how I enjoy watching the NBA playoffs. But the NBA playoffs is also a really stupid and flawed system, right? The MLB playoffs. Now, while it's exciting, doesn't make it a good way to determine a national champion, right? So, yeah. I'm fine with where they're ranked. They barely won today against a not great team. Actually, if you go look at like an advanced box score, based on how these stats actually played out, based on like analytics like EPA per play, UTSA had a 5% chance of winning the game that they won today. So, that lets you know that they're getting a little lucky. I like Jeff Traylor. His story is very interesting. He was on those really bad Arkansas staffs. But he's a really good fit there. Okay. So yeah, I'll tell you this. It does make, for instance, that's a good example. 2018 LSU, they played their best football at the end of the season. They got robbed at the end versus Texas A&M, and they would have been an interesting 8 seed that year, right? So, there's definitely, some interest there. Would LSU have won it? No, Clemson would have beat the dog, what, out of us. Pikachu's in here. Two Flies in here. What's up, Two Fly? I think these are 2 new viewers. Welcome. And I don't think it's so much like expansion or anything like that. Once again, I would like the playoffs, and I also think a 8-team playoff would be good for college football on the West Coast. Because, if you got more Pac-12 teams involved, it would grow the sport out west. And I know a lot of the national media that don't follow college football daily wants a bigger playoff. Hey, I appreciate that, Dalton. Trust me, I take it hard when we're losing games, right? So yeah, I'll say this as far as the playoff is concerned. I do think. I don't know. I just don't like the idea of a 12-team playoff. I just don't. I like the fact that our regular seasons are the best regular seasons we have in American sports. To fly. So if you are new to the channel, I hope you check out like some of our professional, I say professional, some of our more well edited videos. And I know Pikachu Tube is also new. It's cool to get new viewers this late into the chat. As you guys know, about 2 hours in is when things get always fun. We always get a lot of new viewers at this point. So I will give you this. This video is a little bit older, but this is from a few weeks ago. And that is just for you to fly. That's my detailed response to your question. So this video is a 30-minute deep dive over whether LSU should hire an offensive or defensive coach. And in that video, you'll learn who my number one candidate is, and that man is Lincoln Riley. Now, we discussed Lincoln Riley a lot tonight, so I won't spend too much time on it. But welcome. Welcome to the channel, man. Everyone, welcome Pikachu Tube and To Fly. There you go. The Saints should go after bringing the transfer portal. Good question here from Isaac. All-time favorite team besides 19. So from a fan perspective, that would be the 07 team because I was a freshman, and that was before I started my media career. So I would definitely say that team. Okay. Look at that. Pikachu Tube. And let's see. To Fly. I love that name. Stay fly. Oh. Ja with the late night super chat. We are closely approaching 100. I like it. We're at 80. That's good, man. Branson, you're the youngest one in here. Fight through it. I want VTech and North Carolina in the SEC. Do you have any inside information on why Texas and Oklahoma were selected? Okay, so a lot of this is geography, but also a lot of this is, yes, the Beamer era was great. And yes, what is North Carolina football? Let me think. Julius Peppers was great. I was about to say Roy Williams. But Texas and Oklahoma are two of the 10 biggest brands in the sport. Anytime you can add them in your conference, you do it. Okay. And they bring a lot of money and a lot of new eyeballs into the conference. Right. So, yeah, that's why they were selected. There you go. So, Jared, with the very generous Venmo, thank you so much, man. You sent me Jared, you could have you could have paid in Ethereum. You do know that. So for those that don't know, I just got a super chat that would make Joe Castiglione jealous. I don't think anyone in here knows who Joe Castiglione is. He's Oklahoma's athletic director. One of the best ADs in the country. So, yeah, I don't have any inside info as to why they were into it. I think some of it is just recruiting. Some of it is just wanting to be a part of the SEC and the television contracts that come along with it. Yeah, we haven't talked a whole lot about the Mel Tucker mega contract thing. I think it has more to do with what Ohio State is than what Michigan State isn't, right? I think so. That's just how I feel about this, right? I've said this from the get-go regarding Mel Tucker, all right? I like Mel Tucker a lot. I do think he'll win 10 games at Michigan State eventually. Heck, he could do it this year. With that said, I've gotten a lot of credit for this opinion because a lot of people thought Mel Tucker was going to get this LSU job, and he still can, right? It's just really, really, really hard to leave a job that has given you so much money, while at the same time, though, that exact job is a job you've not really won anything with. And Michigan State has the deepest pockets right now in the Big Ten. They have 2 billionaires that are funding their athletics program, right? So if I'm Mel Tucker, as far as my legacy is concerned, anyone that takes this LSU job, we're spoiled with national championships. People are going to have unreasonable expectations. At Michigan State, they're giving you this money, and at the same time, yes, they would like you to occasionally beat Ohio State every now and then. If I'm Mel Tucker, I am never leaving that job. I know that sounds wild. I'm just never leaving that job. He's about to get, if this free press report is true, $95 million over 10 years, one winning season. And $9.5 million would make him a top 3 head coach in terms of salary. Okay? Mel is already making $1 million a year more than Mike Gundy, Kirk Ferentz, and a lot of coaches who have won a lot at schools where it's really hard to win a lot. Okay? And trust me, I'm proud of Mel getting that money. Get your money wherever you can make your money. I'm about to scrape by $100 in super chats thanks to your generous donations. I will never hate on anyone making their money. Kind of like earlier, someone said Ed Orgeron should give some of that $17 million back. Well, you could rationally make that case because LSU has made him the man that he is today, as far as the millionaire that he is today. But when you get paid a certain amount, that's your money, right? What you do with it, it's up to you. But that's your money. And we can get into, more economics, distribution of wealth, all that stuff. But in major college football, whatever you're getting paid, get it. Get it while you can. So, yeah. If I'm Mel Tucker, I'm never leaving Michigan State. I'm just never doing it. You should never leave. Why would you leave that spot to go to LSU, which is hostile? Let's be honest. The job's a little hostile right now. It's a really good job, and it's a way better job than Michigan State, but it's hostile. Huh? 5-star develop. Well, the funny thing is you got to do a little bit of both, right? So you look at a lot of national championship teams and a lot of great teams. Well, those teams always have a few 3-stars that are kind of the important guys. So, like for Ohio State this year, that's Chris Olave, a 3-star recruit, one of their big receivers. Okay. Now, their other 2 big receivers are 5-stars, but still. And then for Georgia, their big star is Jordan Davis. He was a 3-star. I think he went to Mallard Creek, which is where Thaddeus Moss. We had a Thaddeus Moss question earlier randomly. But everyone else on that line is high level 4 or 5-star, right? So, yeah, I mean, still, you take the 5 stars. Kurt, welcome to the channel. Should be a fun game, man. Dang, it is 1:35 a.m. The only hire I'm completely against is Bill O'Brien. That's fair. Well, all right, guys. This was you guys know I'm a straight shooter. Every live stream is fun, but I'm not going to lie. This game sucked so bad that it's kind of hard to just be like, that was freaking awesome. But it was fun. And you guys are the one that makes it special. So, thank you so much for that. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central, we will have a new film study. So we'll see you tomorrow night, once again, 7 p.m. Central for Film Study Sundays. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Whoever the next coach is ready to be the new face of Canes. It's true. And I think we're doing some fried fish tonight. Let's go. Watch Yellowstone? You watch Yellowstone? I don't even know what Yellowstone. You really watch it, Joe? I don't know anything about it. But watch the film study tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central. We'll see you then.